Okay, so jumping right into the tutorial, I am starting the look off by doing the brows. So I'm taking a nice brow pencil that suits Orla's hair colour, and I am defining the mid to the tail of the brow first, and then going into the inner corner and doing some hair strokes, create hair-like strokes for a more natural effect, and just defining that until I'm happy with how it looks. And I prefer the end of the brow to be a bit darker, so I like to apply a bit more pressure when I'm out here, just to create a nice ombre effect in the brows. I find this gives you a nice glam look without being too over the top. And as you can see, I'm being really light-handed in the inner corner of the brow. I'm doing the same to the other brow. I'm going to try to make them end as even as possible. Now remember, the brows are sisters, not twins, so there will be a few differences, but that's okay. And just trying to perfect both of them, so I'm going back and forth here to make sure they are as even as I can possibly get them. Now we're moving on to carving out the brows. So I am using an eye base, and I'm using one that's slightly tanner, just so I'm not going to get an overly bright brow bone, and it's also going to match Orla's tan. And I'm taking this on a nice flat round brush that fits nicely into the brow. So as you can see, I start at the arch and get the arch as sharp as I can, and I really gently drag that in towards the start of the brow. And again, same on the other side. This is just going to clean up any mistakes and make the brows really sharp, giving us a nice defined look. For this, I do like something that has a bit more coverage, just creates a nice opaque finish, and it's nearly like eraser, so if you mess up at all, this will fix it. And then with this same base, I'm applying this all over the eye, and this is going to act as our primer then for our shadow going on top. And it's going to make sure that our shadow looks perfect and lasts a whole day. Starting straight in with the shadow, I'm taking a nice tan shade, a nice camel color, and I'm working that into the outer part of the crease. And I'm using a nice fluffy brush that's going to blend it, but also allow me to apply the color in the exact area that I want. So as you can see, I'm sticking the shade mainly to the outer part of the eye. I just think with Orla's eye shape, a nice bright inner corner is going to sit her. So if I avoid putting any shadow in there to begin, this is going to sit best. And again, doing the same on the other side. Then I'm taking a slightly darker brown and I'm applying this onto the outer corner of the lid. And I'm going to gently blend that up into the shade that we first applied. And I'm going to go back and forth with the two colours now and make sure that they blend perfectly in together. Now these shades are very close in colour wise, so it's not going to be super hard to blend, and it's going to look really seamless. Then taking that same base that we used to prime the lid, I'm applying this onto the eyelid. And I am going to apply a nice light brown all over this. So by applying this base first, it allows the shadow that I am going to put over top to stick a lot better and just to show up a lot more pigmented. So you can see here now I'm taking a nice light brown and just packing that all over the base that I just applied. Okay, so I'm happy with that brown shade on the lid. I am now taking an illuminating primer or any liquid illuminator or liquid metallic, and I'm applying this to the inner corner of the eye, and then I'm going to go directly over top of that with a powdered shimmer eyeshadow in a nice warm golden tone, and this is going to give Orla's inner corner a nice pop and give us that nice bright inner corner that's going to open up her eyes and make them look a lot bigger. Next, I am doing some liquid liner just along the lash line. This is a felt tip pen, so it's really easy to work with and gives us a nice black line to define the lash line. And then what I'm going to do is take a really dark brown and smoke this liner out into the two previous shadows. So it's going to give us a nice smoky, sultry look on the outer corner and create a bit more smokiness and depth. Then I am going in with some mascara just on Orla's lashes, just before I put on some false ones. So just popping on some natural lashes that slightly wing out at the ends, just to kind of give Orla's eyes a nice lift and to give us a nice definition without being too much. Now moving on to the under eye, I am taking the same base that we used on the top of the lid and applying this underneath the eye. Again, it's just going to act as our eyeshadow primer for any shadow that we apply to the lower lash line. And before I do shadow, I'm applying a nice cream gel liner into the waterline. And this is going to brighten up Orla's eyes and make them look a lot bigger. You can go with cream or white. They're both going to make the eyes look a lot bigger. Whereas if we go in with black, it's going to make them look smaller and more sultry. So now I'm taking the same dark brown that we applied on top and putting that underneath and blending it out with the original first shade we used as well. Just soften it out and blend it into the top of the eye as well. Now, now applying some mascara to Orla's lower lashes, and that's going to create some more depth on the lower lash line as well. So after prepping the skin with moisturizer and primer, I'm going in with the foundation and I'm buffing this into the skin to begin. Really working it in there with a nice fluffy brush that has a bit of density to it. And anywhere where I want a bit more coverage, what I'm going to do is pat the brush. So I normally do this along the cheek area or any areas where there are discoloration or redness or where we just need a bit more coverage. Just patting the brush I find gives a more kind of flawless finish and adds a wee bit extra coverage where you need it. Obviously this is a bit warmer than Orla's skin tone, but she has a tan on, so I'm matching it to that. And I'm just leaving a little area underneath the eye blank to apply the concealer. So you can see that area now where I'm applying it, and I'm not going too bright with the concealer. I just want it to slightly brighten but more blend into Orla's skin tone. If you like a brighter concealer, you could go a shade or two below this, but I don't like the under eye to be overly bright personally. And then I'm setting the foundation and concealer with some loose powder and just gently patting this all over, and this is just going to lock it in place and make sure that it lasts all day for us. And next I'm going to go with some bronzer and add some definition into the skin. So going from the middle of the ear, I'm blending the bronzer straight forward, and this is going to give the cheekbone a nice lift and make sure that we're not making the cheekbone look too flat or it's not pulling the face down. And I'm also bronzing up the forehead just to give some nice warmth to the forehead as well, and doing the same on the other side, going slightly underneath the jawline as well, and that's going to give us a bit more definition. And as you can see here, I am putting some of the bronzer at the end of the eyeshadow, and that's just going to blend it out even more for us. Going in now with a nice warm orange blush. This is just to suit that really sun-kissed glow that we're going for with Orla's look today. So applying it on the apples of the cheek and a tiny bit on the tip of the nose. Now we're going to add some highlighter to the skin, so the Cupid's bow, tip of the nose, in between the bridge of the nose, and then we're going to do the cheekbones. I like to do the center of the face as well, so where we just did, just to make the skin look that bit more glowy and a bit more dewy. And as you can see now, I'm applying the highlighter to the tips of the cheekbones as well. Now to finish off the look, I'm going to line the lips with a dark brown liner. I like for a look like this, and I like a dark brown. It just gives really nice definition to the lips, and it kind of gives that 90s vibes. If you like as well, you can overdraw slightly with this, and because it is slightly darker, it's going to look a lot more natural. It's going to hide where you actually do overline. Really working with this liner, I like to make sure the lips are as even as possible. They're just similar to the brows, and then I'm going to go in with this really warm nude gloss and apply this right over and blend it into the lip liner. It's going to give a really nice juicy lip, which we love. Now that is the completed look. I'm going to finish this off by taking some setting spray and spraying this all over the face to lock it in place all day. I hope you enjoyed. So starting off with this drag look, I have my base down, my brows covered, and my eye base applied. So I applied a lighter eye base to carve out the shape of my brow bone, and then a more skin tone for the rest of my eye. And to start this look, I'm going straight in with this deep green. It's nearly like a teal shade. And I'm applying this to the outer V, and I'm applying this in a shape that is really winged out to create that really dramatic eye. And I'm pulling that over along the crease in towards the nose as well. And I'm really packing on the shade to get a real intense color. I'm using a small fluffy blender. Now I'm going in with a more true green shade, and I'm using this to blend out the edges of that deep teal color. And this is obviously a lot smaller brush, so this is going to give us a lot more precise blending. And with this, I'm blending it higher up towards the brow bone, up towards that lighter color that you can see I have mapped out, and closer in towards the nose. With drag makeup, it's all about the intensity. So everything needs to be super intense, obviously, especially if you're performing on stage. Now this is a lighter green again, and I am using a bigger, fluffier brush this time, and this is just to blend out the edges and get a really seamless blend, and to make sure that it blends perfectly back into the skin. So really working and making sure that everything is flawless. And again, doing everything that I just did on the other side. So when I'm applying the eyeshadows, I nearly pack them on first and then I blend them. By doing this, it allows me to keep the intensity, but also get a nice blend. And I'm really winging that out. As you can see, it's coming right up and meeting the end of the brow bone out towards the temples. And now I'm going back in and re-intensifying that first shade that I went in with, just to make sure that we're not losing any pigment and we're keeping those nice bright colors. So obviously you can do this eye look with any colors, just switching up. So if you're going in with, say, reds, going with a dark red first, a lighter red, and then like an orange to blend that out. As you can see here, I keep going back in and making sure that all those shades are nice and blended. And just making sure that it's blended nice and smooth and at the front of the brow bone as well. So now I am taking a white base, so like a white concealer, and I'm going to apply this across the whole of my lid and my inner corner. So patting this on. And this is going to create a nice blank canvas for the color that we're going to put on our lid that you'll see here in a second. So really packing that on. And the motions that I like to do with this is pat, pat, pat. It just creates a nice smooth finish. And blending it up into the crease colors. Now I'm taking this bright luminous yellow, which is fab to create some impact and some drama on the eye. So you can switch this out for any color. But with this color, I'm taking it higher up into my crease. So obviously this is a very exaggerated eye look because I have a much higher brow bone. I'm going to have a much higher brow. So everything that you would normally do on your normal eye, you just need to take up that bit higher, just so the proportions all match out. Then I am taking again that first shade that I started with and blend it into that nice neon yellow. Now I am going to do some liner on the lid. So taking my fave felt tip liner, I am lining from the inner corner to the outer corner. But with this, I'm taking it quite high. So this is going quite high up onto my lid. But it's just because the eyes are so exaggerated, we have to make everything bigger. So obviously the liner is going to go bigger as well. So I take this out to the outer corner, and as you can see, I'm going to just stop there, and we're going to come back and fix that then after. And you'll see what we do with that then. And I'm just bringing that right into the inner corner. Make sure I haven't missed anywhere at all. This is going to be a great canvas for our lashes to stick to as well. Again, same on the other side. Now that I am finished with the liner, I am taking some black shadow and I am blending out the ends of that liner into the previous shades. Now I'm taking a nice bright white shimmer and applying this right to the inner corner. Again, just to create some impact and drama on the eye look. And this is going to make our eyes look really bright and really big. Now I am taking some mascara and coating our lashes to prep the lashes then for some falsies that are going to go on top. Now I'm going in with some nice big drag lashes. Obviously, because this eye is a lot bigger than your usual look, I would recommend a lash that is a lot longer and a lot bigger. Again, just for proportions wise, it's going to sit the eye better. And with the lash, at the inner corner of the lash, I am placing it right down at my lash line. But then at the outer corner, I am actually sticking it a wee bit higher up onto my eyelid. And this is just going to make my eyes look a lot more feline and give the eyes a nice lift at the outer corner. So that's going to help the whole winged outlook that we were doing at the start with the shadow. This is just going to really complement it and make it look even more winged out. Now I am taking this neon yellow liquid lipstick and I am applying this into my waterline. So because this is a nice bright color, it's actually going to make my eyes look a lot bigger as well. And obviously this color ties perfectly in with the shades that we're going with. And I'm just stamping that onto the waterline, making sure it's fully opaque. So with a lot of your liquid lipsticks and your lipsticks, you can actually use them on the eyes as well. Now just check with the company of the lipstick before you do so. But a lot of them are eye safe and they actually work amazing on the eyes. So next, just directly underneath that in the lower lash line, I'm taking the darkest shade that we used on top. And I'm going to start smoking out that lower lash line to create some definition and some smokiness. So I'm starting at the outer corner of the lower lash and bringing that in towards the inner corner, really packing it on to get that nice intensity. And again, of course, same on the other side. You can see I keep taking a step back and looking at myself. That's just to make sure that everything is looking even and that everything is translating on camera. So next I'm going to take the lighter green and I'm going to take a small fluffy brush and soften that darker teal color that we just applied. Obviously we want everything to look nice and blended but keep the intensity. So that's why I'm just softly blending that out back into the skin. And just re-intensifying the darker color to make sure that we're not losing any of that color. Now I'm going to apply some mascara to the lower lashes as well. Now if this was maybe a more intense drag look or we were going for something more dramatic, we could also apply lashes to the lower lash line. But I find with this look, just some mascara is perfect. Now I'm going in with this liquid eyeshadow. So it is like a white color with a blue reflex through it. This is going to give us a nice shimmer and some pizzazz for the inner corner. And I'm also going to apply some of this to the brow bone. Again, this is just going to catch the light really nicely and create some extra drama for us. So now it's time for brows. I am taking a brow pomade. I'm using a slightly lighter color. And I'm just going to create a nice thin shape. So slightly thicker in the inner corner and obviously working a lot thinner then towards the tail. So this is just a base for the actual brow color that I'm going to apply. I'm going for a ginger wig today, so I am going to apply then an orange eyeshadow on top of this pomade. So what the pomade is essentially doing is creating a nice tacky base for the orange eyeshadow that I'm going to use then on top. So again, doing the same on the other side. This bit doesn't have to be perfect. As I said, we're going over top with an orange eyeshadow, so that's the bit that we have to worry about being a lot more precise. So I am now going over top of the pomade with a nice warm orange eyeshadow that is going to match my wig. Now you don't have to match the brows to your wig, but I personally just think it gives a wee bit more extra drama and it just ties everything in nicely. So starting obviously at the tail of the brow, and then I'm very lightly blending that over towards the inner corner just to create a nice ombre eyebrow. And I don't like a blocky kind of brow at the front, so I'm going to go in then with a lighter orange to create, again, as I said, that nice ombre look. Now that I'm basically finished the eyes and the brows, I'm going to go in and touch up my base. So just adding a tiny bit more blush and a bronzer. Obviously with drag, you can go ham on your bronzer, contour and blush. You can be as dramatic as you want. And for my highlighter, I'm taking some of that metallic liquid eyeshadow that we used. And I'm going to apply this to the tops of the cheekbones and a tiny bit in the forehead. Obviously this is going to make our highlight really dramatic, which we can do with drag. You can do anything you want. Just patting some of that on the forehead then as well. Now to complete this look, I'm going to put on my lip. So I'm going in with this dark brown liner and I'm really overdrawing and exaggerating these lips, mainly at the cupid's bow, and then taking the liner down to meet my outer corner. So when I'm doing a drag lip, I basically like to just overline the center of the lip and bring it down to meet your natural lip then after that. And again, same on the bottom, overlining the center and bringing it to meet my natural outer corner. And I'm filling in the outer corners or the edges of the lip just so the lipstick can meet the liner a lot easier. I find with the lips and drag makeup, this is when you finally start to see the look come together. And you can do any color you like, but for me today I'm going in with this nice warm nude and bring that right up to the liner to make sure that it all blends nicely together. I hope you all enjoyed this drag look. You're going to see the completed look with the wig and everything now, so thank you.